Jahel Vilna, ambasador Izraela, moj gost ovdje u studiju. Excellency, welcome. And though we had some other plans, we will start with the subject that we just had. Iako smo imali drugačije planove, počet ćemo sa temom koju smo upravo otvorili, ovim izveštajem o izbjeglicama iz Ukrajine u Srbiji. We had some news flash this morning that actually Israel has a leading role in negotiations between Moscow and Kiev, between Zelensky and Putin. Pojavila se vest da Izrael u stvari vodi pregovore između Ukrajine i Rusije i da to donosi određeni uspeh. Do we have any truth in that?
Well, we know what was already in the press, that our Prime Minister flew on Saturday to Moscow and met with Putin. And as you may know, our Prime Minister is a religious Jew. So for him to violate and fly on Shabbat means that it's probably something very important.
Premijer Izraela je u subotu bio u Moskvi i razgovarao sa predsjednikom Putinom, a znajući da je on vrlo religiozan čovjek. Putovanje na Šabat, dakle u subotu, je verovatno bilo sa jakim razlogom.
So we have this rule that in order to violate the Shabbat, it's only to save lives. So I'm sure he was going there in order to save lives, and I very much hope that this channel will be successful and we will have a constructive role in trying to bring an end for this devastating situation in Ukraine.
Šabat može da se prekrši samo ukoliko je u pitanju spasavanje života, pa se ambasador Vilna nada da je upravo to spasavanje života i bila svrha ove diplomatske misije i da će upravo, kao što rekao smo, uloga Izraela to dovesti do kraja. Unfortunately, Israel, just like this area of Europe, Eastern Europe, has so much, actually it is a mutual history. Zajednička je ta turbulentna istorija Izraela i istočne Evrope. What is the most important thing to know when the time of conflict comes? Šta je najvažnije znati u konfliktu? To save lives, sačuvati živote?
Well, absolutely. I think, at this point, I think the main crisis and where we can support is the issue of the refugees, and Israel is very heavily involved. We have hundreds of my colleagues, diplomats in all the bordering countries, trying to help both Israelis and Jews when are coming out, but also to conduct our humanitarian efforts, which are increasing.
Pitanje izbjeglice u ovom trenutku najkritičnije. Stotine izraelskih diplomata radi u ovom trenutku na rešavanju, dakle u okolnim zemljama, u Ukrajini, na rešavanju pitanja izbjeglica. Ima Jevreja koji su u tom statusu trenutno, ali i svi drugi su ugroženi. And we wanted to be joyful today. We planned to be joyful because we have good cause. A planirali smo da danas budemo radosni jer imamo dobar razlog. Obeležava se 30 godina od obnavljanja diplomatskih odnosa između Srbije i Izraela. So we have 30 years of renewed diplomatic relations. Why was that even stopped? Zašto su uopšte prekidani?
Well, of course, we are happy to celebrate the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations, but I think with the relation between Serbia and Israel, it's what you just asked, maybe it's the key to understand this friendship, because as we want to see it, and I think that's the truth of the relations, the truthful relation between the people will never cut. This friendship is the basis for and the foundations for these relations, and these relations between the people are long-lasting and never cut. The diplomatic full official relations were severed by the government of Yugoslavia after the '67 war and was re-established back in spring of '92.
Dakle, oni najvažniji odnosi, a to je prijateljstvo i odnos između dva naroda, nikada nisu bili prekinuti, ako govorimo o Srbiji i Izraelu, ali jesu od strane tadašnje jugoslovenske vlade posle rata 67. i taj prekid je trajao sve do 92. Until the 92, right? How were the relations again established? Kako su ponovo uspostavljeni diplomatski odnosi?
So the discussion or the official agreement to reopen relations were signed in late '91, and then in the spring of 1992, Serbia was the one to open their embassy in Tel Aviv, in Israel. And after that, we came here and opened our embassy. It took some time for the two first ambassadors to take office, but all in all, I think the relations, again, because I think they are based on this true friendship between the people, were very quickly reestablished and reflourished.
1991. su potpisani dokumenti, 1992. otvorene ambasade, srpska, odnosno jugoslovenska u Tel Avivu i izraelska u Beogradu. Bio je to naporan diplomatski posao, ali to prijateljstvo koje traje je dobar temelj za diplomatske odnose. So we had many challenges in this 30 years period. We had war here. You had so many difficult moments in Israel. What could be the hardest period for both of our countries? Imali smo rat u Jugoslaviji, od tada, od 1992. mnogo teških trenutaka i za Izrael. Kad je bilo najteže? What was the hardest?
Well, look, I believe the most difficult time for your country was, of course, during the 90s, and I think these are the times where true friends are being tested, and I'm very proud that back in 1999, our Prime Minister Sharon was the only Western leader who went out publicly against the bombing of NATO on Serbia.
And thank you for that.
And I think people highly appreciated this year because, you know, as they say, a friend indeed is a friend in need. And this was the time that I think this friendship was tested. Of course, we also had difficult times in our region. I wish to say in past term, but we are still in a challenging neighborhood.
Dakle, najteži trenutak sigurno je bio rat na našim prostorima u Jugoslaviji. 1999. da ne zaboravimo, izraelski premijer Ariel Sharon bio jedini zapadni lider koji je javno bio protiv bombardovanja i na tome mu zaista večno hvala, kao i celom izraelskom narodu. A što se tiče teških trenutaka u izraelskom regionu, odnosno u tom delu sveta, oni nekako i dalje traju, mada bismo volili da govorimo u prošlom vremenu. So we are watching these great promos of Israeli Tourism Organization and using them often. Gledamo ove promotivne filmove iz Izraela vrlo često u našem programu koje država Izrael napravila. Do you miss home? Da li mu nedostaje Izrael, ambasadoru Vilanu?
Well, you always miss home, but you know, before COVID we used to have 4, 5, 6 weekly flights between Serbia and Israel, direct flights. I very much hope they will be resumed. Israel is open as of March 1st for tourists, so I really wish that either our companies or Air Serbia will resume the direct flights because, you know, it's 3 hours flight. You are our neighborhood. Yeah. If you look from Israel towards Europe, Balkans is our first neighbors. Right. And I happened to visit in Bulgaria a few weeks ago, and they are having 250,000 Israeli tourists a year. I see no reason why we will have not more Israeli tourists also coming to Serbia. Yes. Again, before COVID, with the direct flights, we had 40,000. I think we can definitely reach this number and even exceed.
Dakle, hajde da idemo unazad, kako je ambasador govorio. Pre COVID-a imali smo 40.000 izraelskih turista kod nas. Nadamo se da će ih biti mnogo više, jer Bugarska, u kojoj nedavno bio, ima oko 250.000. Izrael nije daleko, to je 3 sata leta i nadamo se sa otvaranjem ovoj post-COVID eri da će biti i obnovljenih letova. What would be your thought, your say, your grade of our relations today? Kakvi su naši odnosi danas?
So again, I see my main challenge, honestly, how to, you know, I'm working in a very positive and friendly environment. The two countries, the two people, again, this is the basis for this strong relation. So I see my main challenge is how to translate this friendship into more concrete, you know, business relations, people-to-people relations, because at the end of the day, I want the Serbian people to feel this friendship, to have, you know, first-hand experience from what they can get from this friendship between Serbia and Israel, and the other way around. I want to see also more Serbian business and investment also coming to my country. But for the time being, it's mostly, I would be happy to have more Israeli investors and business coming to do business in Serbia.
And tourists, as you say.
Tourists for sure.
Da, dakle, najveći izazov u ovom trenutku, pošto, kaže ambasador Vilna, radi u jednom prijateljskom i pozitivnom okruženju u Srbiji, bio bi da to prijateljstvo pretoči u poslovne veze, u pojačavanje tih biznis odnosa i da bude više izraelskih investitora, poslovnih ljudi ovde, pa i turista koje je pomenuo, ali i srpskih u Izraelu. I za kraj, hajde možda da pitamo o tome kako će biti obeleženo ovih 30 godina obnove diplomatskih odnosa. So you are planning to have this very unusual event tonight. You're not having many speeches or many formal moments. You're going on the thing that we like the most. Sports and basketball. Dakle, idemo na to što Srbi ovdje najviše vole, to je sport, to je košarka. Podsjetit će nas ambasada Izraela na 45 godina od kako je Makabi osvojio prvu titulu evropskog prvaka. Belgrade is your lucky town.
Absolutely, and I think I think the right way to do diplomacy is to work on the things which are important and relevant for the two people. And definitely sport is very important for both of our people, and I think those who will come to our event tonight will see on the movie that we're screening how important sport was to Israel in the 70s. I have to admit it's not the same today, but in that film that we are going to show tonight, in 1977, on the same night that Maccabi won their first championship here in Belgrade, our Prime Minister decided he must resign. He had to wait until the game to be over before he can go on television to resign. That's how important was it to Israelis back then.
Who was the Prime Minister at the moment?
Rabin, in his first term. So again, it's not the same today, but definitely back on those days, sport was, for us, maybe the best way to show the world that we exist.
Of course, as if you had to remind.
Yes, and I think that's very relevant for Serbia as well.
How ironic.
We are very happy with this event.
Dakle, večeras će biti prikazan film o 45. godišnjici, odnosno o tome kako je pre 45 godina Makabi postao prvi put prvak Evrope ovde u Beogradu. Događaj je bio toliko veliki da je čak i izraelski premijer u tom trenutku, Rabin, morao da sačeka sa svojom ostavkom da se utakmica završi pa da tek onda objavi šta namerava da uradi. Mnogo hvala što ste došli. Ja znam da vi mene pomalo i razumete i znam da ne želite da testirate svoje znanje srpskog javno. Srećni smo što imamo sada tako dobre odnose. Mnogo uči Srbija od Izraela, jer kod nas neki procesi idu sporije, neki idu kasnije, nažalost, ali mislim da imamo dobar uzor i dobrog prijatelja u vama. I just said that Israel is generally a good role model for Serbia and a good friend, hopefully. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.